few minutes. The same one is for the Wi-Fi code, okay? Just let me know if you're cold or hot. We can adjust. Cold. Cold.
Always cold.
Always cold, yeah. Let me stay awake.
On commence quand tu veux, on attend encore du monde.
Non, on va commencer. Il y a 2 personnes qui vont arriver en retard, mais on va commencer. Il y a une personne qui va chercher son ordinateur, 2 personnes qui sont chercher son ordinateur, mais on va commencer. Laisse-moi régler la température.
Ça marche.
Okay, just let me know if it's hot now. I set it up to 23. It was set up at 18. Yeah. Good. I think we're going to start. There's a couple of people on the way. I think looking for the computers. There's 2 other ladies that are on the way in the traffic, so we'll get started. Let me introduce to you Julien, our trainer today. I'm going to be very short. Thanks for coming. Again, it's IPN with Sosan and Arnaud. We are all committed to helping the community to continue to learn, to develop professionally. And so I've been trying to organize something about AI for a year now and haven't found the right person, and I found Julien. So I'm very happy that he's come here. We want this to be interactive as always, even though it's a classroom in school. Just raise your hand if you don't understand, questions, whatever. Let's try to be a fun, interactive session, and let's come out of that smarter. AI will always be smarter, maybe not. But the floor is for Julien.
Thank you very much. So I appreciate the invitation to be with you today. To introduce myself quickly, I'm Julien. I've built a startup around AI about 2 years ago. We identify a use case where AI can actually outcompete human in a very much more efficient way. So today we're going to talk about how AI helps businesses to grow, and I hope we can make that interactive and let you practice and let's get smarter by the end of that presentation. So first of all, we're going to start with a round table. I'm going to let you introduce yourself very quickly, and let me know if there is one thing that you would like the AI to automate in businesses today. So maybe we can take 30 seconds, 1 minute to think about one use case that you would like the AI to automate in businesses, and then we can talk about it a little bit. If someone would like to start, just raise the hand and we can get through it.
I can start. I would use it for risk assessment.
Risk assessment, okay.
Financial risk.
Okay, sounds great. Marketing, very good. What in marketing would you like to automate?
Maybe online shop
Market product. Anyone else?
Yeah, there are a couple of things here. Social media, posting, sales pipeline. I think this is your thing as well. And I would say customer data analysis.
Very good.
I think generating
Manuals.
Generating menus.
For who?
For food, for the diet, like in the hospital and such.
Okay. Anyone else have use cases?
I'm researching. I like to use it a bit more in research to find the right articles.
Okay, very good. So to help the research?
I'm using for education, for school curriculum, to basically get better ideas for basically what I've done so far, like wellness and better school curriculum for ages from young until 18. What would be good in terms of
So adaptive learning, right?
yeah.
All right, very good.
So communication. So getting people with different languages, different levels of
Okay, communication. Anyone else?
So I do consulting projects, so maybe a tool that could automate finding these projects instead of me looking at different places to find projects.
So finding the right match. Okay,
Work.
really good.
Consulting work.
So for the few people who arrived a little bit late, so today I'm asking now if there is any use cases that you would like to AI to automate in your business or in your life, in your daily life. So if you can think about something, a few more minutes. No one else?
No, sorry, I was late, so the question again.
Yes, so the question is there anything you would like the AI to automate in your business or in your life so far? Like presentation
And social media content.
okay, marketing, great. Any others?
I'm a life coach, so I would like to use AI to create live content on social media to touch my targets.
Okay. So to identify the right target or to better communicate with them? Both. All right. Anyone else? Great. So as I introduce myself quickly, I'm Julian. So we started a startup about 2 years ago. We identify a gap in the sales software platform, which is the lead generation. So we help businesses generate more lead with less effort, and that's the case that we identify that is able to being automated by AI, right? So what you will learn today. So how AI is changing in marketing and how AI boosts sales. So that the two main topics that I can help you to better understand inside, and then having a more comprehensive understanding of what is the AI model fundamentals, right? So what is the AI model? What are the types of AI models? What is the kind of AI we have, the type of generative, discriminative, and so on. How to build better prompt, this is really important. And how to go further than small prompt. And then how AI makes decision itself, a little bit of in-depth with the AI model. So what is the neural network basics, the LLM augmentation, and the prompting best practices. So feel free to ask me the presentation right after the presentation. I will be more happy than to share that with you. And you don't need to take a picture while I'm standing in front of the screen. All right. So let's start. How business are using AI today in a very simple and practical way. So let's move from theory to action. So why AI matters today? It helps to boost efficiency significantly. So you're able to actually produce 10 times more than what you were able to produce earlier based on the speed of the AI and the scalability out of it. So you're able to scale the different things that you were doing before or your team were doing without adding additional headcount. It also helps to be very personalized. I hear a few times that you would like to better understand the audience and the people that you're talking to. It helps to provide content that is hyper-personalized, to build experiences that is more meaningful for the buyers and for the people who are talking to the AI. It drives way faster and smarter decision when the AI have access to a set of data. It will be much more complicated for human to analyze and take time to build and understand and analyze all the data, while the AI is meant for that, right? And then it also, what is the most important part to me is it gives you access to the best practices in every single industry. So what I mean by that is you're able to go in financial risk. For example, I have no knowledge about that, but I can learn and I can ask the AI to do something in that specific field in a matter of minutes because it has the knowledge and I can consume the knowledge that I need to improve my skills. So it delivers the best practices in this field without me to go through the process of an MBA or a master or a PhD, right? So it helps me to have access to better information much faster. So this is not just a tool, this is a competitive advantage in businesses today that you need to leverage. So what AI enable in modern marketing? It can go with ideation. So endless idea generation help you to actually confront your idea against those best practices, right? So I'm myself in the topic and the field of marketing and sales. So I can explain you today that to find the marketing, you need to find the product market fit. What is the product market fit? Is to find the right people with the right channel, with the right message. And this is something that you have access with a single message on ChatGPT, right? And this is very important to iterate. So you confront your idea against those best practices initially, and you go over it and over it. How can I make that better? How can that fit better? How can I talk to this specific audience? How can I leverage this specific channel to talk to this specific person? And then this is how the ideation become much more efficient. So I heard a guy where telling that he got in a funnel that 8 months now because the time that he needed before to actually get feedback from the people in his team was much longer. Which means is now he get an idea, he ask, and he get the answer right away. Can we turn off a little bit the heater? Yes. And then basically you're able to refine infinite time what you ask and how you perform the content that you're creating. Obviously help with creation. This is one of the best use case and the more concrete process that you can do with AI. So you're able to generate and confront again this idea. Again, is this gonna fit this specific audience? Is what I'm creating here gonna fit this specific channel? Is this matching the right best practices for this channel? We talk LinkedIn, we talk YouTube, and then each of them have different settings, different properties that you need to actually know to hit the right target and hit the mark. And if you do not have those, you need to have a team. And this is how, without a big team, now you're able to iterate much faster and understand where you need to go, how you need to go. And this is even better when you launch the first campaign. For example, in marketing, you have data. And then the data are something that the AI is able to interpret, understand by itself. Is this ad perform well compared to this other one with all different channel? And the AI have all those information to understand what is the right channel, what is the right message that should be delivered among the channels, and so on. So a few tools that can help the marketing. Basically, Kling, a video generation tool that is generating ultra-realistic video from a single text. OpenAI, that does more or less everything. And Sora, which is also from OpenAI, but dedicated for having the video generation. Other tools that is a little bit more specialized on marketing is Copy.ai. This is something that we're going to go through. Aldil.ai, that is something very new and extremely impressive. And Gamma for the presentation. You actually can generate presentation within a second. And it's, of course, not entirely production ready. But it is not a matter of skill anymore. It is a matter of understanding and a way to introduce your idea. So it does all the hard job to lay out everything and build the structure out of it. And you need to be the decision maker to understand if that is the message you also want to communicate, right? So I suggest we start with a little bit of practice. So for here, we're going to try real tools used by modern marketers. And we're going to just start with those. And then I suggest we try copy.ai, right? So we can take 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I invite you to go to copy.ai and configure first the tone of voice. Second, build your info base, and then create a product brochure. So what are we going to do here is we are going to, first of all, use one of the tools that is extremely useful for marketers today. And secondly, we're going to fine-tune this model to know about yourself and not being forced to repeat yourself. Yes, I'm Julian. Yes, I'm the founder of SalesMind. Yes, this is what we are doing. The AI knows that as long as you fine-tune this model, right? So let's start. In this first practice, we're going to see how to build a product brochure from scratch with copy.ai. So first of all, if you haven't an account, you will need to sign up, obviously. And once the account is done, you will land here. So first of all, you will need to go to configuration, and here you will need brand of voice. You will need to set up the brand of voice. If your laptop have different size screen, it may look different, right? But this is the same interface designed for different size screen. So here, in that case, you will need to come here, scroll a little bit up, but I encourage you to read that video first, and then here you need to first of all go to the brand voice and add blog article, social media post, or company mission, and so on. So in that case, what I will do is go to LinkedIn, because this is where I'm publishing the most, and I will take one of my posts. So I'm going to my profile, I'm going to my last post eventually, and I take that. I get back to here and analyze brand voice. So here it takes a while, and it will gives me the voice that I've used for that one in order to be able to replicate it. So direct, provocative, and unapologetically honest. So this is exactly what I tried to do. You need to be a little bit clever when you speak on LinkedIn, and then set as default voice across the team space. So here, save brand voice. Obviously, I can edit that, and that will fit better my voice. Once we've done that, we go to configuration and info base. So this is where I'm actually able to define what SalesMind is doing and what are the different services that we are providing. So in that case, SalesMind is a software company that helps sales team with sales agents that automate the lead generation and build engagement. This is what I wrote simply, and here we can see that I introduced one of the product that we are serving. So we help businesses to identify and pull out B2B lead online thanks to 14 different criteria. All right. Now let's go to chat and let's make a product brochure for this specific service. So create new chat. Chat created, all good. And here, this is where you actually can have different prompts that they are giving in order to go much faster with the right direction. So here I go to content, SEO, product brochure. They show the prompt that I can preview, and I can use this prompt. So here the product will be AI lead finder and all the details about my product. So hashtag and product AI lead finder. And then it will take the variable and from the info base and goes with all the content that I already wrote. Now let's start. So this is how they actually help me to build my product page, my product brochure. Now let's try with Claude 3. And let's try that again. And you can see that Claude is actually extremely good to write content in order to get the users' interest and actually pique their interest as well. So that was it for the first part. So first of all, I think everyone figured out how to sign up into the product. Next, you will need to go to configuration and set up the brand voice. So here, what it is asking content that you already wrote, and be able to refer to that to analyze what brand voice you had. So we give you, is that formal, is that professional, is that long, is that friendly? How does the content that you wrote sound to replicate that in the next content? Right? Doesn't sound generic, doesn't sound formal if you want to make it sound casual and so on. Next, and anyone have question on the brand voice?
I think people need to know just what to click on and where to go. That's what everyone's struggling
Okay. You have a question?
Yeah, so you sign up, everything's there, you put in a passage that you like, and then that will give you the brand voice. Yeah?
Correct.
So, and when it looks at the passage that you've given, if you don't like how it's branded your voice, like you've given it a passage, what the brand that it's given you is not exactly what you're aiming for, you can then adjust it.
Yes, correct. So it will give you the brand of voice that it identify out of the content that you give, right? And if you're not satisfied, you're able to refine that. But what is important is it gives you the structure of how he expects you to give the brand voice. Right? So it gives you assertive, professional, casual, this is long, and the content should be toward people that is beginner in the field or expert, and this kind of thing. And then you're able to see and correct what the AI have done wrong. Right?
I have a question. Mine is just giving me comments. So does that mean I have to copy it again and edit it again? Or
So this is what I got, right?
Yes.
So what do I do? Is this the voice that you want me to use, or I have to read through this?
So basically, based on the content that you gave, he understood that your brand voice sound like that. And then he will replicate based on that, right? But if you're not satisfied with that, you now have the structure of how does the AI expect you to give the brand voice, right? So if you're satisfied with it, you can just scroll down and save.
So let's say I see.
Yes.
And create a new chat.
And then
And then configuration, so you've done that. And now Infobase, you already have the Infobase,
Okay, so when I okay, let's say
right? So now go to chat. And let me make sure everyone have the brand voice and the Infobase.
I did my the voice and now I'm in chat.
Click on the plus sign,
Alright.
everyone, next to chat, to
And
create a
product
new
brochure.
chat.
Right, so it gives you the prompt that we will use. And here you can,
So on the
first of
menu
all,
on the left, you'll see chat.
it's not as intuitive as it is on a computer actually. But here you have the prompt that is given. So here the name of the service or product. And here the Infobase. Product.
And so the tip at the bottom.
Normally it will show the Infobase. Have you done the Infobase? No.
Did you save all that?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. If I want to put, this is where I would write more, my product is, blah, blah, blah,
Correct.
in this bit.
Correct.
sorry,
Yes.
I didn't save what I had, and so now I
You
don't know where
didn't?
I am. No. Oh, okay, so now I have to go back to brand voice again.
Yeah. No.
Oh, Infobase.
Brand voice 1 and Infobase.
The
So-
info name is counseling, right? Info
Yes.
Name, okay, thank you.
And then you will be able to find that in the prompt using hashtag.
Do I add text or no?
Not necessarily. What is important is scroll down, enter text. Right?
Whatever that I
Enter
enter.
data that will inform your chat
Okay.
about what is the product you're
Oh,
doing.
okay.
So now everyone have the brand voice. Does anyone have it? Yes? So first of all, you see that the tool that is given is helping you to feed him the right way. So when you give content, he analyzes the content itself, which is something that ChatGPT can entirely do the product brochure. It can jump here right away. However, using tools like copy.ai help you to narrow down very specifically the use case that is done with the tool. So ChatGPT can do more or less everything, but it needs experience to understand how to master that. While copy.ai and all the others, they build that specific vertical to make it super user-friendly, to understand very easily how to leverage the capabilities, right? So the next one is the Infobase. Does anyone miss the Infobase so far?
Basically, you put your information about what you do, your product, the services.
Yes. And then he is able to reuse that over time to fit first your brand voice and then the information you give about your services without having to give that again and again and again.
So can I just tell people how to get to Infobase, because many people.
Okay, so
Yeah.
configuration,
Yeah.
you go to configuration, and next to the brand voice, you have the Infobase. And then you give a name to the Infobase of how you can find back those. So let's say, in my case, I do AI sales agent. And the description, what is my AI sales agent doing? We help people find prospects for B2B services, and we help them to automate the lead generation. Very simple, right? You can build a way more extensive Infobase.
I think one of the questions we had was how is it different from ChatGPT?
Yeah, he mentioned.
Yeah. And again, the difference between ChatGPT is obviously you will be able to do that with ChatGPT. However, here what's important that we see is, first of all, it gives you the right information of how to get to the product brochure, right? Not that clear for everyone, it seems like, but at least it gives you the dedicated tool for doing marketing stuff. So it is not only product brochure, but it is copywriting for ads, copywriting for posts, images as well, and so on. So they're really dedicated into that, and they fine-tune the model to be better than ChatGPT on this specific use case. Ask him to make a recipe, it will not be that great, right? ChatGPT will be much better. But in the case of marketing, this is way more made for.
So it is using also the ChatGPT 3.5, and I think if you give ChatGPT the right prompt, maybe to narrow down to, maybe it can give you the answer. Because this one also is using ChatGPT 3.5,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I said that it is a paid option, and ChatGPT can do not as perfect as this one, but yes.
And eventually, this is one of the other strengths out of Copy.ai. They're able to connect with different models of ChatGPT and OpenAI, but also others. In the case of marketing, other models that are really good at writing is Claude, and done by Anthropic, and they give you access to that, while ChatGPT is only done by OpenAI. So you need to do multiple tools if you need to have access to all of those, right?
How about the images and the colors and everything, for example, brochure?
And this is exactly, so this is a way more advanced, right? You need to go on the workflow, and then you can create documents, put them in your drive, and create images, and so on, right? The first step is you can use the chat and be able to assess the answer it's giving you. But also what is extremely important is the way how to prompt the model, right? And in Copy.ai, you're able to have access to templates. And then based on those templates, you know exactly how the AI is waiting you to give the instruction without having to start from scratch. Yes. So this is the strength out of those dedicated tools. Copy.ai gives you a template. It gives you the way how he expects your brand voice to be written. What is the product that you need to reuse that? And it connects with other tools. Like, we haven't thought that, but what people are able to do with that is they create proposal to send their customer from scratch in a single workflow. So they scrap the information out of LinkedIn, they scrap the information out of the website and from the meeting note they had, and it creates a document that is on the Google Drive, and people that have access to that, and entirely done by AI, right? Are we good for the practice?
Yeah.
Great. Other example, so what now? This is Kling, I think. Kling, this is Sora, this is DALL-E from OpenAI, and this is Kling. So basically, it creates video that help you to market your product. So in the case of this one, this is not entirely ready for production yet, but it gets very, very good at taking now the brand, the logo. This is entirely, all of them done by AI, right? So in this one, we have a realistic product that could be a story, right? You add a little bit of text overlay on that, and it gives a story of a few minutes at introducing the product. In the case of this, it gives a sketch of what is the product the lifestyle product, fashion product that we are selling, right? And in this one, the same. So here it's Gucci because we have a lot of images on that. But if you give enough images of your product to the AI models, it will be able to reproduce the exact logo. Here we can see the logo again, and to play with the product in a way that it will take marketers days, if not weeks, to actually produce content like this one. This one as well. How a marketer could actually be able to here showcase the hardware that they are selling, right? So this is simple example. So what we saw in using copy.ai is you are able to choose the model. In the free version, you have only two, Claude and ChatGPT 3.5. But eventually, leveraging the models based on their strength and weakness is very important. So we're going to get to that at a later stage. You're able to build a knowledge base. Very important. If you do not want to start over from scratch each time, I'm Julian, I'm doing this, Y, X, Y, Z, and so on. It's really important to create intelligence and memory about yourself and your business. So next time you ask something, it knows what to provide in the way you like it to provide. We saw that we can try different tools for that. And again, ChatGPT is good at everything, but copy.ai and all the other tools that is building on top of OpenAI, because most of the tool, even ourselves, we use OpenAI and other models as well. We cannot compete against them. But what we are doing is we take one vertical and we drill that down. So we give the users an easier way to access what they need without having to master ChatGPT and OpenAI itself, right? So with copy.ai, it gives you a comprehensive prompt library. And this is one of the things that they'll drill it down. They know what marketers want, product brochure, landing page, content for ads, post for Facebook, LinkedIn, and whatever. And it gives you the real expertise to leverage what you need to do without having to search how to make a good prompt. How can I ask that? How can I refine, and so on. Is it production ready? Not entirely yet, especially with one prompt that what we did. It is not entirely production ready. It becomes, right? It goes really fast. 2 years ago, it was completely crap. But nowadays, it's almost ready, right? We saw some, there is the guy from Argil.ai. It gives a pitch, a Y Combinator, and the 90-second speech for their startup was done by their tools themselves. And at the end of the video that it was generating itself, it was cloning itself, right, literally. And it was like, yes, this is not me, this is my digital twin, the clone of myself. And that was as perfect as people invested in him, because it was so much realistic that we are becoming production ready. And this is not an autopilot yet, most of the cases. So it helps you, again, to ideate, to create, and to analyze. So 77% of marketers says that reducing time spent on repetitive tasks from the Copilot and the helps of AI. So this is not, and I don't know why not 100%, because eventually people do not master it enough to actually get that useful. If you know how to ideate and iterate in order to get the result that you want, you will get there. So now let's go to sales, my favorite part. How does AI transforming the sales so far? So from prospecting to the pipeline, right? We shared about the proposal. This is the things that the AI is able to do. Hyper-personalization, very important. You don't address each of your segments the same way. Data handling. So you're able to collect the data and understand those to make sure that it fits the right moment and so on. It helps to automate the lead generation, so that's the field where we are, and to smartly follow up with people in a timely and in a personalized way, and do sales forecasting based on the previous data that you have. X, Y, Z converted in that time. It took 7 months in the pipeline for them to close. I'm able to know if I get more lead that is corresponding to that specific segment, I can close them in this amount of time, and forecasting the thing, as well as coaching. right? We have some tools that we get to there. Helps you to actually understand how you perform in your sales call, in your sales meeting, in your sales pipeline, and so on. This is the sales landscape in 2025, right? There is a lot of tools. And this is how each of them transform a little bit the workflow from outreach, cold lead to close, right? So what we see is, we barely can see the logos here actually, but eventually what's important is each of them are in different vertical. And that's what I mean. ChatGPT will not be able to compete with workflow automation. So the AI is not doing everything. ChatGPT is doing the content, but you need software or agent that is actually building the use case. Let's take the workflow eventually, right? It needs to start by doing something and then identify the right segment and then starting to message the people. ChatGPT can write the message. It cannot send the message, it cannot collect the information, and so on. And this is what all those tools and how they compete against ChatGPT. But let's focus on three. So SalesMind, obviously our company, the lead generation. So what we do is we seek people, we identify others at the right audience, and then we message them with follow-up to include them and lead them to the sales pipeline, demo meeting or sign up or whatever. The AI note taker from clap.ai, it's actually recording the meetings, which ChatGPT is not able to do, and transcript it in any languages. ChatGPT cannot do that. However, what ChatGPT can do is analyze the content of the transcript and understand how you perform in your demo call. And this is what Clap does. He put this specific vertical into, I collect the data in the meeting, I transcript it, I analyze it, and I give feedback to the user to actually process better and iterate better the next time. Right? And again, ChatGPT, very useful.
Firefly and Otter for Google and Firefly for Teams does the same
competitors,
thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Direct competitors to Clap, indeed. And then again, you see this is very interesting. They all compete in the same space, right? But they all have their strengths and different segment they're targeting, different value proposition they're targeting, and that's how they differentiate between themselves. And ChatGPT for the next one. So to give an understanding of the sales funnel, as a short reminder, is we start with visibility, where we run ads or we outreach people, and then we build curiosity, right? Is the tagline that I see, talk to me and give me the need of the interest of clicking and see what's behind the ad, right? And then I need to trust the brand to take action. And then when I take action, after, either I'm converted directly, either the funnel is slightly longer, but the next step is success, and then loyalty and promoters, where you actually can retain and promote, let the user promote your services. So we have a pipeline, a funnel for the IT services and consulting. Most of the businesses have different pipeline, different way how they close deal and so on. But in this journey, what we see is AI can interact and be included in every single step, right? It eventually means different tool. Auto.ai, Clap.ai will go in the demo, right? And social media will be Copy.ai, right? So what the AI is able to do is to, in the email part, for example, what SalesMind is doing is we identify the profile to send hyper-personalized message. So it will be, hey, John, I see that you post about something last week, and that's interesting to me because we do X, Y, Z, right? You do not need to do that manually anymore. And then the post, the social post, right? You build content. Your buyers need multiple touch points to remind you and to be on top of their mind when they're looking for a solution that you provide. And then when it comes to the demo, Clad.ai does the job. It helps you to transcript. It helps you to remember what you've talked about in the demo with people. And coaching, how can you do better and how can you make a better presentation for this kind of person. Social media interaction, where the people interact with your content. And it gives you a summary of what these people interacted with and what it should be interested about to talk in the next meeting, right? The meeting, Clad.ai and so on, and the offer. While when you build the entire workflow, the AI is able to connect dots between each of them and actually be a very comprehensive employee, right? Now the employee told to themselves, hey, yeah, I sent this email to this person, and the marketing team here, I created those posts. The AI will be able to connect dots and talk to themselves to identify which step in the journey the leads are and how to move them down in the funnel of conversion. So what SalesMind is solving in the sales industry is the time-intensive research. Nowadays, sales reps waste a lot of time researching the information about what is this prospect, which industry, which type of company, how can I address him, what is he interested about. The inefficient data handling. When you got all those information, where do you feed them? In your CRM, so it's going to be a copy and paste 10 times for each lead. That's a very time-consuming and inefficient way to handle data. While the AI is able to connect to the right field in your CRM to understand how you fill your CRM and provide those content inside for the entire team. And then to drive engagement based on the data collected and to ensure this is personalized. So what SalesMind is doing is we create messages, create email, create messages, and make it feel exactly the same with your brand voice and your product. Because we have identified those, and we know what to provide to which kind of audience. If this one is a CEO, I'm not going to have the same value proposition as if he's the sales manager. Sales manager may need to have more efficiency for their team, and the CEO would like to have more field pipeline eventually, right? So we solve the problem of low cold outreach success. In our case, we go and we seek for people. We're not waiting for them to come. We're not putting ad on LinkedIn and whatever. We go to seek them and hunt them, right? If we take the comparison inbound, outbound, where in the outbound, you seek for people and you try to build interest. In the inbound, you wait for the people to come. So the result out of that is you're able to predict your pipeline. SalesMind helps you to engage with thousands of customers per day, right? And again, if we understood that CEO in the industry of IT services and consulting are closing in 3 to 6 months, if we talk with 10 CEO of IT services and consulting, we know how much we are able to close, how long it will take, and what is the next step to bring them down in the funnel of conversion. So then it removes the guesswork in lead prioritization. Because of the numbers that you need in outreach to actually land sales, you need to be able to identify who is the right fit and who have the need now. Not today, not in 6 months, right? So how SalesMind is making the first part of the sales funnel way more effective. We source, first of all, the leads. And this is something funny, like a few days ago, Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey introduced that they would like to remove the IP for training their model way more efficiently. One of the limitations we have to train the model is the IP. We cannot take Forbes articles to make the AI smarter. If that law is coming, I don't know, I haven't checked in depth about that, but or where it is now. But it will make the AI having access to the entire data of collection of data that is needed to actually help it to make it much more smarter. And then this way, we're able to source precisely the people that is fitting the right audience. The intent trigger, we identify by the behavior of the customer, if they're searching for competitors, if they're visiting my website, if they're visiting my the competitor's website, and so on. We understand they have a need. If they search a certain keyword on Google, we understand they have a problem they want to solve. And this is how we identify the right moment to engage with people. And then once we have those two information, we identify against you persona. So you tell me, I need to find CEO that is working in IT consulting, and then they have less than 50 employees, and they're in the scene founding and so on. We identify those person with your criteria, and we make them match. Is this the right person? Yes, but he does not have the need now. He goes to retargeting and nurturing. He have the need now, and he is the right profile. Okay, we engage now, and we follow up until either that guy get out of the funnel of conversion, or either he convert into an actual meeting, and then eventually the closing part. The engagement. I don't remember who, but someone said you need to communicate with your client in their way. And that's extremely important, right? Even though you have your brand voice, you need to adapt your product to the person who you talk to. So what we do is we auto-generate messages, and then we're working on technologies that will be able to automate the creation of video and a website for people. So then no one will have exactly the same information they get, because we do not seek exactly the same information on a website. When you go on a website and there is like 10 different services and you only need one, you do not have time to, and you do not want to browse the 10 one to understand which one is the best for you. So in the way that we're doing that, we're taking the buyer perspective and we try to understand what going to value these buyers, right? So we understand what is the services that fit the most that person and only provide those information. It's like you go on LinkedIn profile, but you do not have the same LinkedIn profile that you see, because each of you have different needs, right? So we warm the lead. We make the conversation happen. So we take the profile on LinkedIn eventually, and we go back and forth in the messages. Okay, this is the post that you did last week, this is interesting, blah, blah, blah. And this is what we're doing. We identify people that are going into that direction. And then we engage with the people to warm them and make them aware of the problem that we are solving. And then we do retargeting. If that's not the right time today, we put them in a way that will retarget them and nurture them over time, because this is still the right people, but not the right moment. And then this is how we drive conversion, right? So we route them when they're ready to demo offers without manual effort. And then last but not least, we qualify those people. So when we do not have enough information, we enrich those the missing field they need, and we qualify those people. So we make them match against the criteria that you have, and predictive intelligence, when we know who is likely to convert in the next 6 months, we know if we talk with 10 different profiles that are similar, we'll be able to actually convert them at this percentage, and we know what is the next quarter will look like. So now I suggest we go a little bit more practice. It's going to be much more easier this time. and now you've done almost all the work. So you're going to create your first, or maybe not the first one, OpenAI assistant, right? I told you that OpenAI was able to do most of the thing. If you need to do marketing stuff, go to copy.ai or any others. If you need to do daily basic tasks like writing an email or replying an email or whatever, you can use ChatGPT Assistant to help remember your tone of voice, your brand voice, and your info product. Right, so we're going to do something slightly similar, but on OpenAI that we'll be able to use on a daily basis. And I really encourage you to do that on a daily basis to understand how it can help you. And that will give you even more idea about what are the use cases that you would like to integrate AI in. So go to ChatGPT first of all. Maybe 15 minutes this time is going to be enough. So go to ChatGPT. If you do not have an account, you create one, and then you create an agent. So it will be a GPTs. Yes. I'm actually not sure it works for free version though. Does anyone have ChatGPT Premium here? Yeah. Yes? Anyone else? Okay. So.
Premium is the one you pay for, right?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Premium is the one you pay
Yes.
So how do you create an agent?
So maybe I can show you because I think it requires the paid version actually.
You have to go to the API.
Actually, no. But let me show you because I think it requires the premium version. All right. So this is the interface of ChatGPT. If I can everyone see? Yeah. Great. So I open the sidebar and I explore GPTs. So you see that in our company we have quite a few one to help us to build the prompt, one to make YouTube, one to copywriting, to engagement and so on. But let's create one together, right? So create one. Here we're gonna go this way, and what would you like to make? I'd like to make and then the way how you create that assistant is completely unique with ChatGPT. He asks you question and do the configuration by itself. Slightly similar than what Copy.ai were doing for the brand voice, but here it does it in a way that is configuring the assistant entirely. All right, so now let's pick a name. How about Daily Companion? How about Daily Companion? No. I want a personal assistant. And now it's creating a picture for it itself. I meant personal. What kind of task do you help with the most often? Like scheduling, reminder, organizing work, personal errand, or something else? It will be professional help to do email.
Yeah, how did you get into the create? I missed that part. To start with.
So here it's actually configuring the thing by itself. What is a name? It gives a name. The image, the professional, the description, professional assistant for communication and task support. And here you can see the instruction that is generated itself for its future itself, right? This GPT serves as a professional daily assistant, blah, blah, blah. This assistant should behave in a calm, efficient, and proactive manner. It should aim. Now, I want him to remember who I am exactly and what I do. I need him to remember that Julian Gadea and I'm CEO and founder of Salesforce AI. So would you like it to reflect that title in your email signature and message closing by default? Yes. So what we can see here is we'll change that and make sure that it's remembering it. All set. Personal assistant will now use your name and title in the messages. So now we can see here, by default, email signature and message closing should reflect the user title and role. And then he knows that. Now the exercise was making an email, remembering who I am and what I'm doing. Write email for my team to remember that Friday is holiday. Holidays. And here it gives that. So this is one simple step that what the assistant is able to help you with. And then now I create it. And with the same prompt, we will see two different things. Here, I do not use the assistant for that. So it takes someone else's name here in that case. Now if I use my personal assistant, it gives the right one. Each time that I will use this assistant, it will help me to go a little bit faster by not having me to type my name and stuff, right? But again, here it can be done for the signature itself, but also for the brand voice, the product that you have. And then if you build an assistant that is for product A and one assistant that is for product B, you will be able to have much more quality in the content that you create, right? So in that case, this is extremely useful to save time and not having to repeat yourself. Even though they actually just released the feature a few weeks ago, and that'll help you to remember to remember more or less everything from what you interact with. So the way how you can see that is personalization. It leaves the memory here and manage memories. So here this is all the stuff that is remembering about what I told him to not allow myself to, not force myself to repeat every time, right? So what is the targeting audience that we are doing? How we address them? So remember most of the thing and help you to build better content based on what you actually interacted with before.
Just showing you, I have this for my coaching business. I created an assistant where I put all my coaching training, my coaching tools, some of the transcripts that I've done with some customers, some clients, all my sales, presentation, and briefs, all my training as well. And so whenever I'm looking for a particular coaching tool, I just ask my ChatGPT. I don't have to look at all my files and open it. When I have a request from a customer for a code, I just use that as well because he knows me. He knows what the tools I use, what are my philosophy, the way I talk, and so it's very efficient for me. When I have especially a training, so companies come to me and ask for a training outline. It's always customized, so I don't have to do that again. I use my assistant because he already knows what kind of training I do, and so it's really efficient.
And is this in your own territory, or is this in OpenAI and everybody else can also access?
No, it's only me because it's my content, but I can share it. And so I have a friend who's a business partner, and he can use my.
Because technically, you upload to AI over ChatGPT, public domain.
This is actually the next slide. So here you created one assistant for yourself, and
One question, sorry to interrupt.
you go ahead.
Do you give access to your emails to the personal assistant, or you prompt the personal assistant to do something?
So in that case, you only have the ability to create the email. You do not have the ability to reply the email by itself, right? I think this is a little bit more advanced, but so far you're able to create action here. So in that case, you can call an API and make it go through the API, but that's very complex, and that's what other tools like competitors of Copy.ai is building. They build the entire flow for you to not having to go in depth like that. So ChatGPT will not be able to reply your email and send the email by itself, but it will be able to understand the email you give and reply to it, right? And in the case where you were asking earlier, when you update the GPT, or you share it, so in that case, this is an invite only, right? If I want to share it, either I share to only myself, either to anyone that have the link. So in the case of Paul, his friend may have the link of that assistant and is able to use this, or either you publish the assistant to the stores, right? And this is where we're going to right now is the store. So they obviously have creators that took time to build GPTs for other people. And in that case, we can see that we have, I don't know, maybe thousands of GPTs that were able to be very specific. So in the case of this one, for example, it gives you a way to generate and edit video with text prompt. So it will generate the subtitle with the right time if you provide enough information. It gives you the right music to use for this video. It will give you the script that you will need to follow and so on. And that has been created by vid.io, I believe, and thus have more than 4 million conversations happen. And basically, this is how creators are improving the GPT's assistant to build specific things in their vertical. So vid.io is also another tool, but they build their assistant for people to identify on ChatGPT what is the best video generator in their case vid, and how people need to talk in their video, what music they need to use, and so on. So let's make a video, and then the AI will be prompted in a way that is given by this creator that knows what he's doing and help you to achieve that much faster. So if it's like, Paul, give me access to his GPT on the store, and I will be able to identify exactly the same as what he's doing by myself, right? So here it gives a few questions and so on, and I can go further and understand what is needed, and he will give me the right thing to do. So that's what we see. They give you templates of prompt that will guide you through what you need to go through to actually better use in your specific use case. So it's similar than the template that Copy.ai were giving you, right? I think the first model is finished so far about marketing and sales. Does anyone have questions so far? No question? No integration? Do you want to take 5-minute pause before we...
10-minute break. Yeah,
10-minute break? All right, great.
Back at 10:52.
I
Yes?
know there was so much to chat AI. I'm actually doing a doctoral program in AI.
Okay.
Yeah, and online. So, but I don't do the application side. I do the. I've been studying about the different AI models, reinforcement learning, and all of that. So it's very interesting for me.
So I'll be more than happy if you have anything that, if I'm wrong or anything in the second part.
I don't know anything about
No,
applications.
but the second part is about AI model
the
itself
models
and
This
stuff.
is
So
great.
if I'm wrong anytime, please
No,
feel free
I'm
to
sure
correct
you
me.
won't be. You have more knowledge than I. What's your company called?
SalesMind AI.
So you created, and that's what the company
Yes,
did.
yes.
Right.
So for me, I was asking Pauline something. It's about the safety of those agents. So because they, you give them all the information, you give them everything about yourself, everything. So how safe in the future? I'm not talking about right now. No, right now everybody's using. But how safe is it to just give all your information and to give it to?
I'd say this is exactly what the discussion between Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey talked about a few days ago actually. The data now are accessible, right?
Yeah.
So even though you're not sharing,
but it is there.
It is there. We have access to it in a way or another, right? When you build Copy.ai, you give content that you already created.
Exactly.
It might be a post on LinkedIn, it might be a post on Facebook, it might be a blog article that you wrote. This is accessible. We're able to identify what is your brand voice without you sharing it.
Yeah.
Right? And I believe the data that we are giving, or that is accessible, should only help the model to help us better.
Yes.
So in my opinion, the safety of data is not something we should be worried about because the data are there. It is more about how does it help ourselves.
Okay. The other thing that I see, for me, I think always ahead of time, and I say, now if we are using all those tools, I mean, what are we doing? I mean, ourselves, we're just using now. It's like we're getting lazy a little bit, not thinking strategies. We're all putting to the machine and they're thinking for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not comfortable with that thing because I say that no, la matière grise ne fonctionne plus.
True, we will have more a role of validator, right? Is this thing great? Or creative mind, right? It does not have a really creative mind. So it will not be able to replace you, and I don't think it will replace you ever, right?
But here, as you say, for example, when I say all this thing about marketing, it can replace a lot of people in the chain of marketing.
Yes.
Right?
And eventually it will make them much more productive.
Yes.
And ensuring the quality of their output is better as well. right? In the society, we observe that, I guess, with horse when they have been replaced by cars,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? We still have horse. They have different function.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, this is not going to replace people, but empower them in a way that they will be able to be much more productive.
But see, I think about so many different things, and I feel that also it is changing so fast, but the education is not following. For example, I find a huge gap between the education and the AI. What's the AI doing? For example, if I have to go now at this time to go to university and study marketing, first year, second year, third year, 4 years of my life to study marketing and to know what? I mean, AI is doing other stuff which is more interesting than, you know what I mean?
I know exactly, and this is exactly what I shared earlier. It gives you access to each industry best practices. You don't need to spend 4 years to understand marketing anymore.
So this is my debate with my daughter now. She's in grade 11. And I told her, I'm sorry, my point of view about education changed completely now.
Yes and no, because eventually the education is lacking, right? There is a big gap in the education. The system haven't changed in the last decade or century. This is a shame, right? But what it gives us is the way to improve ourselves by searching, right? It does not give all the best practices all the time, but it gives you that mind of where you need something, you know how to search and you know how to understand what to search. So, and that will be much more important in the coming years. Not the skill itself, but how do you handle the knowledge?
Yeah, definitely. For example, for me, if I have to go now for marketing, I will not go for. I will go for AI. How AI can help me to do marketing, not just to study
Marketing,
normal way of doing marketing. Yeah, it's moving very fast.
Extremely fast.
Extremely.
And that's super stimulating, right? I think this brings the same change in the whole humanity world, the same way as when we discover the cars, for example.
Yeah.
That step above, now the AI is able to generate content. Before it has been used for the last 2 or 3 decades already, but it wasn't that mainstream.
Yeah.
What brings it mainstream is now is able to be generative.
Yeah.
And that what is beautiful. So indeed, in China, I think I read a study recently, they force students to learn AI by 8 years old. So this is, there is no other way.
Definitely.
No other way.
Yeah.
Right? We cannot avoid that anymore.
Because you cannot avoid it. Yeah.
It is like you want to keep walking or using the horse while
Exactly.
everyone else is actually using the car. Right?
Definitely. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. That question? Yes, that would be nice.
Maybe I'll talk to Paul if we can do that.
Thanks.
What?
Share a few slides or a video of what to click on, how to get where.
For on Copy AI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
I can record that and
Yeah.
send that back to you.
Yeah, if you record that would be great, because then they can practice at home. Even
Sure.
the agent, yeah. Anything hands-on, right?
Yeah, anything hands-on.
Hands-on,
would be great.
yeah, yeah. That would be
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Fourth option.
There's so many AI tools.
No, I know.
There's going to be a consolidation at some point.
At
because
some point, everyone
when you
will
ask,
say that.
like, can you automate PowerPoint? Just like 10, 15 apps. Which one you pick? Which one is best? You don't know.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Especially at least the .ai all should be under one, right?
It's just-
And then people make
Wait.
their companies, it's fine.
and then so you have a free version, but then are you gonna pay $15 for that and $20 for the other? And so it's very confusing.
But eventually, they all serve different purposes and
Yeah.
different use case.
Yeah.
So you meant the presentation to automate the creation of the presentation.
Yeah.
that is indeed a lot of competitors, but not all of them are doing good image or good content or good structure, right? So it depends of what you're looking for. But I agree that the moat, the competitive advantage of now startup and tools like that is tremendously reducing. Because with the APIs that we all have access to, we actually to have access to the same quality first hand. It's only a matter of how do you leverage it in your specific tool or use case.
So for me, it's like it doesn't really matter. I think they pretty much do all the same. For my basic request, they pretty much do the same. So
it's hard to choose.
Yeah. So I just choose and I say anyway, it'll work as well. They're all the same.
I'll get another glass of water. So maybe you can add me on LinkedIn, and I will share that.
Is it possible to give which application is good for, let's say, creating videos, or which one for creating a text, which one for creating a song? Is there different applications for each target?
Yes, and that's what Paul meant, right? When you're looking for an AI or a tool that is help him to build a presentation, there is 10 different ones that came up. And they all have different strength and different weakness, same as the model. Some of them will be able to connect more than the others, send that to your drive. Some of them will make good pictures, some of them will make great content, some of them will make great structure. And having all in one is actually extremely hard. So this is how the landscape is extremely fragmented now, because you have so many different people that are trying to solve use cases this way that it is hard for consumer to eventually choose the right one. But I note your question, and so if you want to add me on LinkedIn here, I will. Yes. Oh wow, super smart. I guess this is the Wi-Fi again.
No, it's not. Oh, I'm connected to the Wi-Fi. Okay, so if I'm on my network, then it will be.
I assume it should. Not easy to control the temperature. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Yeah.
So you have free access to follow you.
Yes.
And
But
you
the-
will add here your presentation?
I will share it with you, but maybe you have the email, and or I share with you and you share with them. Yeah, I will.
Just share with me, and then I'll put it on Google Drive.
Is this your company?
Yes.
Huh? He's the CEO and founder. Pay some respect.
Oh, come on.
I have full respect. My also son is also computer engineer, and I have full supporting and respect to them. Although he makes fun with me sometimes, what I cannot achieve.
Now you
He
can
says, "Come on, you don't know this. You are asking this."
Now you can show him some tools, some AI tools that he maybe not know.
No, I will ask AI, not him.
And eventually, this is a great practice to adopt, right? When you have a question, And Google does that now. When you type a question, it shows the first third of the page. It shows you the question and with Gemini.
What's your surname? Sorry.
Julian.
Your surname? Your last name?
Gader.
Spelled?
Gada. Yeah, here you go.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't read the title behind. It is very small.
Yeah, it's small.
You should make it more bigger.
Well, what is important is what I'm doing, not who,
Yeah,
who or what I'm doing in the company, right?
The
Everyone?
first part was a little bit confusing. I'm not very good in finding the right.
I understand.
The right
clicks
click
in
and then the
form.
right process.
It is different at the.
You have
Yeah.
to get used to it.
Yeah,
Know
yeah.
where to go. It's not super. The user interface is not super nice. Yeah, I think so.
It is actually it depends on the size screen. What I observe here is like people having a small screen is really less user friendly. But what I did this course, it was like extremely easy, and I think they
You
made
see
it.
everything. When
Yes.
I cannot see here, I get panic. I feel that I cannot do it. But if I go further, I see it, then it's okay. But
Yeah, yeah.
for the first minutes, when I cannot see, I get panic.
That's okay. So we start.
Yeah.
Let's restart.
All right.
Yes, I can.
Let's start again. Great. So now we're gonna go in depth about what the AI model look like and how they work in a more depth, right? So what is AI model? The core idea is a system that learns from data to make prediction and decision, similar to how human would learn from experience. It used training data. So each model have parameters that is given to him to make him intelligent. When we talk about ChatGPT, it does have several billion of data that it can refer to actually produce this intelligence. So next is an algorithm, right? So this is mathematical procedure that the AI model used to analyze data and find meaningful pattern. The functionality is to take raw data into usable intelligence, right? And that have a strong business value. As we saw earlier, it can help you to create content, to analyze behavior, to forecast as well, right? So the different type of AI, we can have the supervised and learning. So the definition is to learn from example. So you give him a set of example, and he knows how to identify the next one. So for example, the spam detection. We give him 1,000 email. This one is a spam. This one is not a spam. This one is a spam. This one is not a spam. And then next time you give him an email, you ask him, is this one a spam or not? And he will be able to label it. Spam, not spam. So you give a lot of input before to train that model, and it gives you the prediction for the next one. So the model learns to match new input from the previous input that you give him during the training. Yes?
Hey, I think you're trying to explain how it works. Is where one of the things that's always come up is that how do we, like, if we wanted to give the AI the information, I think from coming in a position where you don't know anything, how do you drop that information in normally? Like, do you give it PDFs? Do you give it lots and lots of different documents? Because I think that's something that or not sure about. And then I think, which then goes back to how that information is used for you, but also how private that information is for that report. But I don't want to defeat this out of this, what you're explaining right now, but I think it's important, like when we're using this stuff before, how do we give our chat, our GPT, our assistant, the information to give us enough information to use it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the difference between learning for the model and to be fine-tuned is extremely different, right? Learning, for example, is how to build ChatGPT. Fine-tuning is how to make ChatGPT know myself and remember myself. So when we talk about learning, it actually takes billions of data. So to build a model that is able to understand what is a spam or not, you will eventually need to come up with 100,000 or 1 million of email to make the model good at this specific task. Now ChatGPT is good at knowing, detecting if that's a spam or not. Is good at generating content, generating your email. So when people train GPT, they give him access to 1 million email to understand if that's a spam. 1 million good copywriting for a post. 1 million data about what is that. And this is the very fundamental of the models. If you give data that are not right, it will never produce good content. So if you label the email that is a spam, but you label it as not a spam, in the supervised learning, the AI will never be able to correctly identify the one when you ask. So if that answers your question, is the learning part is what are the researchers are doing, and they actually spend billions of data points to train the models. Does that answer the question? And if anyone have any question anytime, please feel free to cut me out, and we will go through it. So the next, yes?
How much do we need to put in so it knows us?
In the case of ChatGPT, you build an assistant and you give him the information. So he will remember you. Now, if you want to build a model that is, again, I'm taking the spam to speak to anyone, a spam model to identify what is the spam or not, you will need millions of email and labeling, right? We have that for the image classification as well. Is this a microphone? Give him 10,000 images of a microphone and give him, okay, this is a microphone in the image. And you will need thousands and thousands, if not millions of data to make the AI learn, to reproduce this pattern in the next iteration, right? So the amount of data you need to do to build a model is extremely high. Now, if you want GPT to remember yourself, this is already a pre-trained model. So they train it themselves. They give everything that they need, the AI needs to know for you to be able to use it in an easy way. The next one is the unsupervised learning. So here, it finds itself the patterns in data without labeled answer. So in that case, you will give him pictures of a microphone and tell him, is that a microphone? And then it will learn from the data that it has previously, either that contain a microphone or not. So it's really helpful when you do customer segmentation. Is this customer belong to, which segment is belonging this customer to, and so on. So you only give him the correct output. This image have a microphone, this image do not. And the reinforcement learning. So here is like, given the AI, the way by itself to understand if either that's a correct answer or not. So it's trying decision, it's trying action, and see what works and what's not, and improve based on the reward. So the a really easy way for people to understand is when you make a video game and you learn the AI to to race the path, right? If he crashes into a wall, we give him penalties. That is not what you should do. And when you reach the goal, you give him a reward. And that actually works with more or less everything. This works with also with animals, right? The same exact way. When you give a dog a treat, when it does what you want, this is reinforcement learning. He gets the reward, so he knows next time if he does that, he will get the reward again. And that's exactly the same way how AI is learning in this specific type of model. He weighs the reward and he does everything to get the reward and avoiding the penalties, right? So over time, it becomes more and more efficient by finding the reward.
What would be a reward?
The success, right? Not the treat, but this is what you should do. This is the correct answer.
Okay, so the feedback is
Yeah.
basically the reward. Okay.
No.
Even on ChatGPT, whenever it answers you, there's a this or that. So is it useful to actually?
Extremely, right? If you give a thumbs down, it gives a penalty. This is not what the user are expecting. And if you give thumbs up, this is what the user is expecting. So next time, it will get better. I'm not entirely sure how they work themselves, how they integrate that in their feedback, but eventually this is exactly what reinforcement learning is. So there is two types of model by objective, generative and discriminative. And that what is making AI extremely popular nowadays, because what OpenAI brought into the table is generative AI, where before it was mostly discriminative. In the case of, to understand both of them, the generative focus on creation, generate idea, new data. It can be text, it can be images or code, based on what you ask. And that's what is making the OpenAI and the AI becoming extremely popular. Because now it is able to think by itself and create new data based on what you ask, was not what's possible with discriminative AI before. So discriminative AI is exactly the same way, focused on the classification. We have been using that for several decades now. So the AI was able to identify is this email a spam or not. And that's what makes two different AI model, the objective of the AI model, right? So generative models paint the pictures based on pattern, while discriminative model tell you what's in the pictures. Both are powerful, but used in different jobs. And eventually they can be combined. Paint a picture, do I have the microphone in the picture? Yes, no, is that a good picture? And this is how the reinforcement model can be automated. However, it's very hard to achieve, especially when you need to have quality data to train your model. If you don't have quality data in your training, the output will never get good. So the different AI model that is existing nowadays is ChatGPT, Midjourney, DeepSeek. But if we go in depth a little bit with all of them, ChatGPT is a model that is able to do most of the thing: writing emails, summarizing info, categorize, coding. It's great for general productivity. However, what we saw is they have limitation. They are not able to send the email for you, right? Google Gemini is also a direct competitor to ChatGPT, done by Google. And eventually, they have been implementing Gemini in their system. So now if you go to Google Drive, you can see that you can sort the files. If you go to Gmail, you are able to draft the email by AI. And that is the strength of each model. They integrate in different tools. Midjourney, for example, is generating artistic and high quality images from text. XAI is a little bit edgy. Is done by released by Elon Musk, and eventually is way less sensitive to the data that is providing, the compilation that is providing. So you can ask him more edgy question like, hey, is this person beautiful? OpenAI will always say, I cannot judge someone is beautiful or not. XAI will say, hey, no, you're not beautiful. And that's one of the model, right? And they all have their own specific case. Here we see that even the models themselves compete. Paul mentioned earlier that when you're looking for a tool that is helping you to create presentation, you have access to dozens of tools. But each of them have their dedicated use case and specificity. In the models, that's exactly the same. DeepSeek, for example, is extremely good with reasoning. So what it means is write an email. It will think, okay, what is an email? Who I'm writing the email for? Who is the person? What I need to say in the email? And then it comes with the email. While ChatGPT is, I need to write an email. It writes the email itself immediately. Right? So the reasoning is something that DeepSeek is bringing into the field. And Llama, this is an open source model released by Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and so on. And basically what it helps you, or what it helps people to do, is to fine-tune their model. So people are using Llama to be the base. So you don't have to, for example, to train your model from scratch again. You take Llama, and they have different sort of models. 7 billion points, 20 billion points, 70 billion points. It just make the computing power required to answer the question much higher the more data point you have, because you need to go through not obviously not the 70 million data point, but you will need to find them in those collection, right? If you want to have 7 billion, it is much faster or require less computer data. And then people are building their own model based on Llama. So it means they take Llama, which is great for most of the things, and then they fine-tune it to build one specific use case. So in the case, it could be writing email. You need to write email in a certain way, and then you give him more email, and you train this model the way you want to fine-tune it and to make it more likely to respond clearly your use case. Now let's have a little bit of a quiz. Can anyone tell me if ChatGPT is a generative AI or a discriminative one? Generative? Yes. How about Google BERT? Okay. Let's move Midjourney. Generative. Yes. ResNet. Interesting. And GitHub Copilot. So okay. So Google BERT is actually helping people helping Google to actually understand and classify the information. So you give an email, and is the email, what is the sentiment out of this email? Is my customer happy, not happy, angry, mad, or whatever? And what is very interesting to observe here is everyone knows, or most of the people knows, the generative AI, but not any model of discriminative AI. And that's what I share, right? We have been using discriminative AI for a few decades now, but no one knew it. Now, what is really mainstream is the generative AI. So GitHub Copilot is actually a generative. It helps you to generate code based on the files that is in to help you develop application. ResNet is something from Microsoft. It helps you to identify and classify images and object recognition. So in the case where you need to identify in this picture there is a microphone or not, and where is the microphone, you can point that out. And Google and Robert AI is something similar than Google BERT, and for text classification. mainly. So the four very important things to build an effective prompt is the context, the instruction, the example, and the constraint. Even though we're going to see the constraint is something that we should not emphasize a lot, we should have that in the instruction itself. So the context is to give the AI understanding where is it now and what it should do, right? So, for example, you are a customer support agent for a mobile app company. If I want to give the name of the company, it will remember that. And then it will put itself in the role of customer support agent, which have a complete different one than a marketing person in the app company, right? So it will put the mask of that role and be able to actually perform much more accurately. The instruction. So write a short reply apologizing for a delayed update. So now he knows that he's working for an app company. You need to write a reply for an update that has been happened too late, and then an example, right? In that case, this is zero-shot prompt where we give only one example. So example, hi John, we are sorry to the delay. Our team is working so and blah, blah, blah. And then the AI know exactly what you expect and be able to reproduce that much more accurately. So if you want a long one, a long messages to apologize, it will take the same length, the same brand voice, the same example, basically, right? And the constraint, limit the reply to under 30 words, don't mention timeline. So then he knows what not to do. So there is different prompting method. So in this one, for example, this is ChatGPT, the normal one, the chat that everyone is used to do. But in the case of the system contextual and role prompting, we do have, and we did that with the assistant GPT, is we give him instruction for him to remember in the system prompting, the instruction in the ChatGPTs, and then it be able to remember that in any new conversation, right? And then the contextual is to give extra information. In the system prompting, you give extra information about the task that he will be able to do. And then he asked us, right? What is the task that I will mainly do? And who I should address? And the role prompting is every time you ask a question, this is what the AI is replying to. So here we have an example. I hope everyone can see. But in the system prompting, that what corresponds or fit in the instruction in the GPT's assistant that we've done is to classify movie reviews as positive, neutral, or negative. So we are going to the temperature, token limit, and everything later. But here the prompt is, we give that to the AI and the review inside. So the AI is now knows that what are the possibility of answers that is able to do. So classify movie review as positive, neutral, or negative, only return the label in uppercase. So every time you will give the AI a question, a new review, it will only give one word in uppercase, because this is what the system is meant for, to supercharge the way how the reply needs to be done. In the contextual one, so for example, classify movie, you are writing, I think this is a mistake here, you are writing for a blog about retro 80s arcade video game, suggest 3 topics to write an article about with a few lines of description of what this article should contain. And then here, the context is giving the entire indication about what is the purpose of this system, and then the instruction. And the last one is I want you to act as a travel guide. I will write to you about my location, and I will suggest 3 places to visit near me in some cases. And then my suggestion, I am in Amsterdam and I want to visit only museum. And then it gives the right information, and it also gives information about the specific things that you asked. You have a question? Okay. So here, this is only simple way how to do prompting, but obviously, according to the use case that you want to build, there is different way to different prompting techniques. So the chain of thought, for example, it helps the model to reason like a human. So write an email. What is this email for? Who am I writing? What is the context? How I should make the user satisfied with my answer, and so on. So the chain of thought, it will actually provide different way and the reasoning systems that he used to actually write the email. So the role play prompt. It makes the, yes?
So the question, is there a way you can just give it a picture and tell it to write a story about a picture? Is there a way you can upload a picture, right? And ask AI to write a narrative about a picture?
Oh yeah, I just did it. So I put my painting on it, and it gave me a whole poem on it.
And you did that with ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, I did.
So how satisfied were you with the result?
Oh, I really loved it.
Yes.
Because it made it seem much more attractive.
So what you're saying is I just have to upload it to ChatGPT, right? And ask it to write and it will. Oh.
Yes. And then this is exactly what we're telling here. If you want to get the answer in a certain way all the time, like for example, you want him to classify the pictures, the images, to make a description. Let's take Instagram, for example. If you want to make the bio for the description for the picture on Instagram, you should say, I need you to write a caption that is no more than 300 characters. I need you to be very informative about how the picture helps my users. And the AI will consistently give you a result that is fitting your expectation.
The other question, when you say AI, we have a lot of channels, right? So for this particular instance, which channel is the best one to use?
To write the caption of the images?
Of the images, which channel?
So without, this is a great question, and I don't have the right answer for that. But I know for writing great content, Anthropic is extremely good for that. Anthropic, Claude.
So I feel like you have ChatGPT as a generalized thing. It's good with public trouble. Yeah, it sounds that I think the hesitation is to keep paying for multiple AI services in different parts. So you really have to identify what you're going to do or how you're going to use it, because in order to get the best out of it, you will have to pay for it. Yeah, and so I think that's part of the hesitation of the what do I join, and then do I realize I've joined one that doesn't do what another one does properly. Yeah, and I think that's the questions you have to ask yourself, or maybe ask ChatGPT before you get started. Like, if I want to use visuals to create narratives, yeah, then what is the best one for that? I actually think you can do that through ChatGPT.
Yeah, and it's actually really good to tell you which model is the best to actually give you the right answer. Even within ChatGPT, you have so many different models. 3.5 was the first one. Now you have 4, Omni. They released recently 4.1, and all of them have different specificity. Like for example, O3 Mini, it helps you to actually resonate. So it goes through several steps. It thinks before we give the answer to identify what is the real need behind the prompt that you're giving.
ways of asking different questions or creating prompts from a different way. Like I think most of us are pretty straightforward or connected. Yeah, those so what's a way of asking ChatGPT? I was just asking what are different advanced prompting techniques, and then they'll give you this list, and then you create questions according. I think that's really cool. Sorry.
Yes, indeed. Different use cases, even within ChatGPT itself, require different prompting techniques. So if you need the AI to actually focus on specific things in your prompt, you can, for example, use the chain of thought, and then it will give you the reasoning to understand how it gets into there. Right? You ask the result, you get the result, but you also get why it gives you this result. And then you can improve that in your next prompt. This is not exactly the answer that I'm expecting, but I'm expecting you to rework actually the step 3. The step 3 was not correct. And this is exactly, I forgot your name, sorry? Bouchard. Bouchard was mentioning. It's becoming more and more important to understand how to make decisions. Not creating anymore. The AI can generate everything for you. Now you need to leverage and to master how the AI creates for you. So the role play prompt, for example, in that case, you are a product manager at a startup, and I need you to challenge my user story, for example, or the tasks that I'm giving to my staff to make it better, more understandable, and easier for them to go through. Few shot prompting. So this is if you want the AI to have more example about what you expect it to give. So in the previous example, we give an example of one email. If you want to ensure, so that was a very simple case. If you want to ensure for a more complex case that is fit exactly how you will get the answer, give several examples. And then the AI will be able to understand the patterns in different one and be able to reproduce that in the compilation that is giving. Step back prompting is one of my favorite actually. It asks the AI to not do the task directly, but to provide a strategy to do the task, and then in the next ask to do the task itself. So in the example of email is, what is the best practices I need to do as a customer support agent to write extremely good email to make people, even though they're not satisfied, more satisfied after my interaction. Then it gives you the strategy, and then now, okay, I have that, it knows that. Next is write my email with an example, and then it will follow the email best practices. And that's what I meant initially, in that you now have access to all industry best practices. Use step back prompting and you will know how the best practices could help you to make those better. The React, so it combines reasoning and real world action like browsing or tool use. It's more likely to happen when the function of API is activated. So I need you to write an email and send that email. So we will first write the email and then make the action. Okay, to send the email, I need to call this API, I need to give those parameters, and it need to give me back the success code to understand that the email has been sent. And the tree of thought, this is something that I've been kind of new, basically. It's because it asks the AI to go into different decisions and take the right decision. So in the case, it will generate 3 emails, take the best email, and then send the best action to send the right, like for example, we have 10 different email addresses. We ask him to send an email, he will write 3 emails, and then he will send, okay, which email is the most appropriate, this one, and choose the right one, and then at the end of the day, he will decide by itself which is the best path you need to follow to provide the answer. So we saw earlier that the AI have parameters. So what are the control in LLMs and how the AI picks the next word? There is 3 different settings: the temperature, the top K, and top P. The temperature is how random should be the answer. So if let's say I'm having writing an email, and I have the temperature, the range is 0 to 1, right? If I set the temperature to 0, write an email, it will give me the exact same structure all the time. However, if I push it to the last limit, 1, it will give me different email all the time, because it will be able to randomize more effectively the answer. So it takes the data point, and not because of his mood, but because of the randomness of the way how it pick the next word, it will give a different answer. The top K is, so for the temperature, for example, is like answering a question where you're sleepy, completely random, or you're fully alert, very precise, right? Top K is show me only the X best practices. So we saw that the AI model are trained on billion of data points. And if you choose to lower the top K, it will only choose the best answer, the best choice that fit to your question, to take that and generate the content you want based on those. If you go to 100, it will give you way more information that the content has been trained in the model. So it's like only picking your dinner from the top 5 dishes on the menu, or to all the menu itself. And very good question. Not related at all.
We didn't hear the question, sorry.
The question is, I made a mistake here. The logo are not relevant for this for this presentation.
If we load a photo or a text to AI tools, one of the tools, does it use our own data as its pool data? I mean, is it safe to load some photos or some information to AI?
I'd say it depends the model that you're using. Some of them are heavily relying on your data to train their model. But what I believe is the data should be free, right? We have access to your data today. When you write your brand voice in copy.ai, you already give some things that you wrote before. So eventually you wrote a blog article, you wrote a LinkedIn post, a Facebook post, you share data online. So we more or less have access to that data, right? And they're more or less public already. If you close your profile and everything, this is not. But this is already there. We should not be afraid of sharing the data, especially if those data are improving the way how AI served us. I don't know if that answered the question, but I will get you after. I don't think we should be afraid of sharing the data.
Intellectual rights are protected when you load something to AI.
And this is what Elon just raised a few days ago. He wants to remove the IP, because if you give more access to more data to the AI, especially the quality one, it will obviously mean the model are getting smarter and will serve you better. Yes?
So perhaps another way of looking, like, we want to give enough data. Is there enough data that we can be sensitive to? Yeah, it's a bit like I can give my name, GR, yeah, but I don't give my full name, or I don't give my date of birth, or I don't, you know what I mean? So some things we should be circumspect about. Except everything's going to help the AI, but is it going to help us? So I
I guess the example of the date of birth is the kind of data that I believe should be given to the AI. If I know your age, I will be way more likely to provide you content that is fitting your expertise, your experiences, and so on. If I don't know and I talk to you like a 5-year-old kid, it doesn't make sense to you. I think what should be important to be sensitive about is password. Never give a password like to model. One reason is because they're still human that is looking at the data to understand what is the pattern and how to improve the models. So there's still humans that will have access to that password, and eventually if those are not well or not in the right way, they can reuse the password and connect in your system. The other way is the AI will actually become smart enough to take your computer control and navigate for you. There is computer use that is already there. OpenAI started a few months ago, I think. No news about that. But eventually, we have other models that is able to control the computer by itself. So in that case, that may be a little bit dangerous. So that's the only kind of data that I believe, or that I can think of at least now, that should be protected.
Also the passwords that we save in the computer.
No, this is entirely different. Those are only the computers that have access to your password to remember it, right? Those are not fed into the AI models, which is completely different.
For example, I'm a poet and I loaded my poem to the AI and I asked, would you please find a suitable music for the background? So does it use my poem in its database? So if somebody steals my poem, how can I protect its rights?
This is a great question. I think the answer for that is, if your poem is good enough, now, if you accept the term and condition of OpenAI, they will be able to take that poem and reuse it for next time. Or take a part of it, or take the pattern, or how you build that. I build long sentences, short sentences, short sentences, and so on. And that will be taken for the next generation, right? So there is no IP for what you're sharing with ChatGPT already. If you share it, it will be able to reuse it. I saw some story where people were giving like a complete proposal and it were able to get back the proposal to someone else. I have never saw that before, and I strongly doubt that happened because the randomness you have will never give exactly the same as what you did. But what it will do, it will learn the pattern out of it. How to make a great poem. What is the word that is actually making sense to be in a poem, and so on. So if you want to protect your IP, I guess don't use AI.
I work with a company that has sealed off all of its internal data because it's very much research and innovation driven. So they have definitely taken a step to make sure that this is not available to any search engine, any trawler, anything else, right? So they use AI very, very effectively in their outreach, customer marketing, and all that. And the same awareness, they've decided not to share any of their own internal data. So it can be done, right? You can actually close it off, right? And this is what, of course, we're looking at this
Especially
going.
if it's financial things, then it's very risky to share.
This is scientific, right? So this is metallurgy, so IP, right? This is the company's assets, and they have closed it off.
Yeah, you can build cluster, but that way more advanced. You need to have your own model into your own server, and those data that you're providing and the compilation will not be used for trends. So no one will have access to that. And then eventually, what it means, you will not be able to reinforce the learning and to make it smarter. So it will be locked at today, and you will not be able to produce better quality because you're not sharing what are the compilation. But indeed, is that possible?
Down information that other people are sharing, but they're not sharing their own, right?
Indeed.
There's a fear of industrial espionage, right? That safeguards are not really in place yet. So you have a choice. Either you trust the benevolence of the humanity or you don't, right?
True.
You mentioned before that a good poem, that the model will learn what a good poem is. I mean, originality right now, is I'm sort of like on a philosophical level wondering if that will always be the domain of humanity, of humans.
I think when it comes to music or poems, all can be protected by copyright.
No, I mean, you were mentioning, I'm jumping a little bit, you were mentioning that it will learn what a good poem is, right? Actually, I think that will be, a good poem will be in how it resonates with the reader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where how will it know, a good poem to you is not going to be the same as a good poem to me, right?
Yeah.
So suddenly we have 8 billion resonators.
And then this is why sharing your information will be important, because you need to have personalized ones.
Yes, I like this or I don't like that, right? So it will go on what the majority have liked. So again, this will not be originality, right? This will be actually the opposite. That this is something that most people like, that has no correlation to whether it's original, right? So I'm quite happy with how things are now, because I still think that there will be things. There's the fear that that AI will take over and human beings will be obsolete as right? But I think AI will never be able to learn what resonates with me. It will learn that something resonates with me, and it will try to present it for me again. But it won't be, if you write a poem that is so original, but somehow still strikes me, I think there will still be. So I'm quite hopeful that the emotions are going to be difficult to replicate for a learning model. Right? I'm sure that if I am highly original, it will be difficult. If I am just like everybody else, it will be very easy for the model to make me feel what everybody else feels, right?
I see what you mean. That's perhaps true.
No, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
How far, and how original are human beings really when it comes down to it, right?
But I don't think that is where we need to go, right? One size fits all does not work anymore, right?
No.
So eventually, what a good poem, and you mentioned it, right? What a good poem is for you is not for her. And then if you share your information and you give the AI model enough understanding of what you are, what you like, what you don't, you will get a poem that you actually like and she doesn't, right? So the AI will take the poem of that person first and fine-tune it to make it in a way that you like. If you mention that you like a specific word, specific way of music, specific style or something like that, it will actually create something unique for you. And I think that this is exactly where we're heading, into an adaptive content that we're consuming. No, and that's what we're trying to build as well. No one needs to see the same content.
No.
So even on a website, and this is something that I strongly believe, on a website, this is becoming obsolete. We don't need to see all the same website. We need to see what is important for us. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
How do you clear the app? Say, for instance, you upload the picture, the poem, and all that. Is there a way you can go back and just wipe everything? You really need it tidy so it never shows for anyone.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You have to create cluster. So for ChatGPT, you will not be able to do that on the website application. That just doesn't work. You will need to have an enterprise pricing plan, and then at that step, they will build a dedicated cluster for you. It means another version of ChatGPT on your own server and your own database and so on, and they will never use those to actually improve the models that everyone have access to. But that have a very high cost, and eventually that in ChatGPT you can, but you can for yourself, right? I said that I'm called Julien on ChatGPT. I can wipe that off, and he will never remember that I'm. But if that will be learned for the improvement of the model. So what is a good poem? I write my poem. I can wipe that off and tell, okay, I never write a poem. He will never saw that. He will never remember that you wrote a poem. But everyone that have access to ChatGPT will be able to have access to what is a good poem.
Are all paid versions of the AI model also open?
All of them, I'm not sure, because there is quite significantly a lot. But basically, most of them, if they're free, if you're free, use our product. Right? And even if it's cheap, I don't know how many billion OpenAI is losing, but they are collecting data, and that makes the model way smarter. And the last things in how AI pick the next word is the top P. So pick from the safest pool of choice, like stopping your search for a movie once you found one that is 90% fit what you will enjoy, right? So it helps you to either reiterate or ensure that you like the answer. So I think we can go quite fast on that. We lack of a little bit of time, and that's not the most important things here. But neural network architecture is how the AI model are actually thinking. So here, that may be a little bit small, but I will share the presentation. That all the model, how the AI is actually processing the data to actually provide the answer. So each architecture solves different problems, right? So the perception, for example, is binary classification. Is this a spam? Yes, no. This is the first one, right? 2 answer, and he will give only 1. The feed forward. So I will go fast. We have a lot. You will have access to that. And the LLM augmentation. So we actually tried today a little bit of augmentation. We give AI memory, right? So this is one of the augmentation you have, and this is very important to augment the LLM to be able to recall or to use the right information. So we have the RAG that is connecting to the LLM as a database, and then the AI is able to pick up what it needs in the database to understand what is the information that is needed, the memory to remember and to persist and recall the conversation history, for example, the brand voice, that's what you did earlier, the guardrails. So to ensure that it does not go above what you want, and the multi-agent. This is one of the next things that is going to be tremendously big today, is to be able to have agent that is communicating between themselves to achieve a task. Send an email. First, you write the email. Next, he send the email. So it needs 2 different agents. One is that is writing, one that is going to take the computer and actually go through the API or whatever to send that. So the RAG is to look the thing up. So you pull information from document and vector database and knowledge base in real time. So each time you ask a question, it goes directly into your own data to find what is the right one. What the memory. So it gives the AI the memory so it can recall past iteration and so on. And the guardrails to put rules around AI behaviors from the tone of voice, sensitive topics, or things that is not do. And the multi-agent. Create a team of AI that is working together to achieve specific task. Any question here?
I think my experience of AI is like ChatGPT is great. I get good ideas. I get emails done, etc. But again, the next step is, I want, for example, I want with ChatGPT I can create the LinkedIn post. He can help me optimize it. What I want him actually is actually post it for me. So now I have to copy paste, put it there, schedule the post, and do it. Same for Facebook. Same for emails. He's helping me do the email. Can he actually do it? Send it for me. Excel analysis. Can he actually put the formula into the cell that I want him to do? So that's is it what you mean when you say multi-agent?
Yes. So currently you have tools that is able to do that. I can name a few, and then they build this specific vertical. they build posts on LinkedIn, and then they post on LinkedIn for you. Now, if you want to make LinkedIn and Facebook, you will need two different tools, right? And this is what is the struggle nowadays. People need agent that is able to perform a task from scratch to completed, right? And then that was multi-agent will be able to do. So to take action in order to achieve the specific task.
Can I ask a question? So like to select my painting, I give ChatGPT access to my photos. So does it have access to all my photos or just the photo that I select?
Only the photo you share.
All the photos you share with ChatGPT.
No. Only the photo you share. So if you put a photo, like write a description for this photo, they have access to these photos. They do not have access to the whole library. Right? Even though on iPhone, I think now you have to choose this image only, full access or whatever. It's only giving access to yourself to choose the picture. If you do not allow, the application will not have access to that. However, I'm not entirely certain all the applications use that effectively. And I think that's why Apple put that new features in place to be able to people to share only specific pictures or all the album or none at all. But for the models itself, they only have access to the pictures you share. So the best practices, so we saw a few. Give example in your prompt, very important. Teach by showing. If you expect something to be done in a way, don't expect the AI to know and to understand what you expect without giving him examples. Start with a clear task instruction. So act, analyze, categorize, classify, context, measure, list. This is action wall that is letting the AI know exactly what you want her to do. If you want to rank, for example, give the instruction. It's not giving me a list by order. It's rank the list of film by my preference. And I think it is prefer instruction over constraint. So we saw earlier that you need to give constraint to the AI. So in this case, the example is write a one paragraph. The wrong one is the constraint. Is write a one paragraph blog post about the top 5 video game console. Don't mention game title. Not that great. Give instruction. Write a one paragraph blog post about the top video games console. Mention the company release year and total sales. So here you will not give the game titles, but only give the company release year and the total sales, because you give the instruction over the constraint.
So from the little bit that I've done, when you start, you give more instructions, and the constraints which you might have a color or like to be quite simple, should be right at the end. Does that make more sense?
You mean where do you place the instruction and the constraint in the prompt?
Well, it's much better to start with instructions. This is what I want, this is how I want to do. And then when you get your answer and you get your things, then you put the constraints on rather than as in, I don't like this or I don't want this.
And this is exactly what the step back prompt is about. First, you need to, you can give the AI instruction to get broad. And after, it's not like I don't like or I don't want or don't mention. It is, I want you to mention only this, and this. And then it will get good. I mean, this is the best practices, right? This is to prioritize instruction over constraint. So when you should know what you want instead of know what you don't want. And give a model a role. So each time you start a prompt, give him context. You are a LinkedIn branding expert, write a headline for a solopreneur who helps founders scale with content. Right? You give him a context, you give him a role, and he knows better what it should do. So assigning a role to the AI. And specify the output format. So in that case is, for example, list the 3 key benefits of cold email outreach in bullet point. Each point should be 1 sentence, right? So here you want a list of things and only 3 benefits will be given. So the AI knows exactly how you want the output to be formatted. If it's code, if it's list, if it's paragraph, and so on. What is really useful, and most of the people are doing that, is using JSON to actually generate data. So you're able to have sorted, structured data to be able to reuse those data in different way. So if you want, for example, to build a product description, I remember someone mentioned that, you need to have the product name. You need to have the description. You need to have the price. You need to have the tags, and you need to have plenty of things. If you ask the AI to do that, so in that case it will be list the name, list the product description, list the tags, and so on. It will be copy and paste for building your product. Now if you build an automated system and you provide and you generate JSON, you will be able to say the key name will go here. The key description will go here. And then this is how you can automate the thing to ensure that the AI is really efficient and not giving just the copy and paste work. All right, that was it. Thank you very much for your attention today. If anyone have question, happy to jump into it.
Just a very practical question. Why does ChatGPT always have issues with Word and Excel and PowerPoint? Sometimes he cannot produce them. Sometimes he cannot read them. It's something that happens to me all the time.
Very good question. I never experienced that. He's very often likely to generate Excel and read the Excel. I don't think he read the entire Excel. He used that as a vector database, and he's trying to get the first batch out of it and trying to regenerate the next one to understand what is in this Excel. But I think no.
About the graphs, does it read the graphs?
Yes.
You give a graph, and does it read what's happening in the graph?
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to analyze data, even just a picture on ChatGPT is giving you amazing results. Like what is in this chart? Why do we decrease the sales? Or why, can you explain me with word what is this chart is about? And he will give you a story, right? And list this point of you can even ask, build a story based on that chart, and you will be able to understand what is the chart about. Yes?
Do you embed the ChatGPT into a document, or you always have to copy and paste, upload, and all that?
To edit the file?
So for instance, let's say I'm doing a big Word document, right? I'll copy the content, put it in the ChatGPT to do whatever, okay, and then to do whatever I want to do, then I have to copy and paste it again. My question is there any app that you can embed it into like a Word document where it does it automatically?
I guess Gemini from Google is integrated into Google Doc. So you may be able to do that. I haven't experienced it myself. But what's for sure is you have other tools that are dedicated to do such a thing. To be able to build the doc that you want. And after, obviously, you'll be able to export the file from the dedicated tool, or to just edit, copy and paste into your Google Doc. Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julien. It's very insightful. I think it's the basis. I think we should be asking for more information and more insights and more hands. So we'll be discussing with the team. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the session. If you have time, just I'll send feedback form. I just want to I want to understand how insightful it was today and how we can improve later on. You know, if you want something, a follow-up of this type of session, also that would be helpful, so we can organize ourselves. Yep.
Will you share the slides?
Yes, Julian
Yeah.
will send it to me, and then I'll share that to. I think I have all your emails. So.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bon, merci.
C'est bien?
Merci, très bien.
Avec grand plaisir.
Bien sûr, parce que là, c'est pour nous, beaucoup, c'est la première fois qu'on discute de ça, qu'on a une présentation qui n'est pas trop technique et qui est touchable.
Mhm.
Donc c'est intéressant. Parce que tout le monde l'utilise un peu comme tu sais, en tant qu'amateur, donc d'avoir un peu structuré, c'est super.
Ouais, j'ai essayé de donner des cas concrets avec grand plaisir, merci beaucoup.
Salut.
Et du coup, ouais, très, très intéressant ce genre de talk à donner.
Oui, très bien. Il y a différents profils, il y a des professionnels, il y a des gens, enfin, beaucoup de gens en fait sont plutôt des entrepreneurs en fait, qui cherchent à optimiser leur social media, etc. et leur marketing en fait. Donc c'est parfait. Ce que tu as fait au début, c'était bien.
Très bien, très cool. Je
Très bien.
suis très preneur de feedback,
Oui.
savoir comment,
Oui.
si ça a aidé, comment ça peut aider plus, comment
Ouais, très
improver.
bien. Ouais, j'envoie un feedback form, là, comme je le fais, et puis j'espère qu'on aura du retour.
Très bien.
Il faut que je te paye.
Ok.
Tu m'envoies un QR code ou je te fais un transfert, comment ça se
Ouais,
passe?
QR code, ça passe.
Hein